to kick somebody's ass. I mean, that's why we're here.
That is caught! Left center! Reds win! And this ball is launched. High and very deep to right, long gone. It's second of the night. Elly De La Cruz.
Short lead for Pena. Larkin drills it. Do you believe this? That's going to be gone! Back to back! Walk-off home runs! How about this? He's back! He's back! He's back!
And a swing and a drive! Deep left field! This one belongs to the Reds!
Swung on and hit deep to left field. That ball is going to be gone! Home run! And the Reds put it tied to 4!
Goes to second one. Around to first. Got a double play! And the Reds sweep the Cubs. Breaking ball. Hit high. Hit deep. Way back there. And gone! Into the second deck and left. Christian Encarnacion Strand walks it off. Archer does it in his major league debut. He gets the final 3 outs, and the Reds get an extra inning win. A thriller 5-4.
Swung on, fly ball, hit to deep right field. That ball is gonna be gone. A grand slam home run by Mike Cameron.
2 outs, 2 on. Reds down by 1. Larkin down the line. This will win it. This will win it. Here comes Tucker. Here comes Steins. Larkin's won the game. Barry Larkin gets mobbed. Look at this scene. It's synergy.
The stretch, the pause and the pitch. And a line drive, base hit left center field. A single for Aaron Boone. And this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won 8 in a row.
Kobayashi with a long look turns it loose, and Dunn hits it to deep right. It's all over. And this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won their 5th game in a row. They've defeated the Cleveland Indians on an Adam Dunn 3-run home run, 4-2. In on the corners at first and third. 2 on, nobody out. Here's Roy Tring pitching, no bunt. Ground ball by the third baseman into left field. Jay Bruce rounds third. This one belongs to the Reds.
That's it pretty good. Guess what? He doesn't need speed. That's gone. He's the king of the Queen City tonight.
With 1 out here in the 11th inning, you sure got to go now.
One on, pull down the left field line. That ball is going to get the winning run in. Here comes Jay Bruce rounding third, heading toward the plate. And this one belongs to the Reds.
Huge situation for Votto. Why you paying the big bucks to deliver the goods with 2 outs in the 9th inning? Can he do it? In the gap, right center field, and Votto delivers the goods.
Hit deep center field. Hank Hill going back at the warning track. Oh, he gets one. It's gone. Joey Votto is delivered.
Reds fans, what's going on? Welcome to the Chatterbox Sports hybrid post-game and pre-game show in the middle of today's doubleheader. I'm Hunter Hurst. He's Max Alfonso. Happy to have you along. Like the stream. Need the likes for wins, and we have Austin Wins in the lineup today. Max, how are we feeling after game 1?
Well, I mean, not great, obviously, but I feel good now that we have Austin Wins in the lineup. So I think that should be the boost we need.
Yeah, I agree with you. We'll go ahead and get into the post-game recap. Don't worry, we'll get into Alexis, Diaz, whatever that was. The Reds lost the game 1 of today's doubleheader to the Cardinals 6-0. The Reds had won 5 in a row. That win streak is now over. Brady Singer went 6 innings. Didn't have his best stuff, but only allowed 1 run. He did take the loss. Gave up a solo homer to Mason Wynn in the top of the first. Elly De La Cruz, his streak continues now at 13 games, 19 games in a row on base, and he did steal 2 bases. Other than that, not a whole lot to talk about. Noelvi Marte missed a couple. Obviously, you're missing a big bat in the middle of the order without Hayes with this hamstring news that's come out. And we'll go ahead and get into the Matt McQuain struggles, as it hadn't looked good as of late, Max.
No, it hasn't, and there really hasn't been many signs of him, turning a corner either. His first 2 at bats today struck out, and then the other night he hit a ball hard to center. It was probably the best ball he's hit in a couple of weeks, and it got run down, and it just it just seems like he's really going through it right now, and you just hope that he can do something and figure it out. Because if this team's going to go anywhere, they need Matt McLain to hit and play well. And he's played good. He's been fine at second. Kind of bobbled the ball at the end there in the ninth, but nothing was going well in that ninth inning. But yeah, I still have faith in Matt McLain to figure it out. I do wonder if he is battling something and he knows he's missed so much time that he just doesn't want to go back on the injured list. But I do wonder if, something's nagging him.
Yeah, and there's swing and miss in his game, so strikeouts aren't too concerning for me. But it felt like last week, the Miami game, he hit 2 balls over 100 miles an hour in that series finale that the Reds won that kind of kicked off the win streak. But it felt like it was sort of a get-right series for him in Colorado. Didn't really happen there, and it hasn't happened yet for him to break out of the slump. It felt like when it started, he was still hitting the ball hard, but it just doesn't seem like he has or is seeing the ball as well as he had at the beginning of the year. We'll move on. Alexis Diaz, I don't know if abysmal is even the right word. Watching Alexis Diaz pitch, the only thing I can compare it to is like you're going for a nice drive on a Sunday. You have nothing else to do, and then you get cut off in traffic, and you're just mad for the rest of the day. I was in attendance for the game. Alexis Diaz comes in, and it's just the same old story. My great-grandmother is 94 years old and gets to the plate faster than Alexis Diaz, and I think she might be able to find the strike zone better than he is as well. You have any thoughts on Diaz? I don't want to go off on a 10-minute tangent where I just lose my mind, so I'm going to go ahead and ask you how you feel about him.
Yeah, so I thought the bullpen management in general was interesting. So Singer goes 6. Then they go to Rogers. He struggles, but gets a nice double play to get out of it. And you're just kind of thinking, all right, let's get the lineup going, still down 1. And then they go to Barlow in the 8th. And then Diaz in the 9th. A lot of times I think in this situation, you'll see Tito go to, the normal guys, Ashcraft, Santillan to Pagan. But I think with the doubleheader, I think that kind of changed his mindset with how he's going to manage the bullpen, and especially with Chase Petty pitching tonight. So I think that's kind of why we didn't see, Ashcraft, Santillan, and Pagan, like I mentioned. So, and then obviously Diaz in the 9th. I like that he left him in there because there's no reason to burn another arm for 1 out. There's no reason to put in Suter, although he could probably pitch this afternoon and then pitch tonight because Brent Suter, that's just kind of how he is. But yeah, I can't help but wonder if that's the end of the Diaz era in Cincinnati. He's got an option. He threw like 40 pitches. He's not going to be available for a few days, which can't say I'm mad about. But yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting these next few days to see what they do with Diaz, to see if they option him or if he's just if they think he's completely unfixable and they just DFA him.
Yeah, I actually tweeted this while he was on the mound. I don't know if a pitcher's ever been DFA'd or optioned to AAA while they're actively pitching a big league game, but I was fully prepared for that to happen to Alexis Diaz and was rooting for it while that was going on. It's not even inconsistency, really. It feels like the same story every time that he's gone out there, really, and this extends back to last year, is if guys get on base, they can run all over him. You could have a cannon behind the plate, but they're not going to be able to catch him because it takes Diaz forever just to get the ball to the plate. It just feels like he has no idea where the ball's going. Like he's lost command of both the pitches he throws unless he takes something off, but you can't throw 89-mile-an-hour fastballs and be really a closer in this league, a closer or an effective reliever, unless you're a guy like Brent Suter or Tyler Rogers that just has wicked wind-up and mechanics. There's just no room for him to be on the roster and pitching, and I wouldn't even necessarily call that a low-leverage situation. You're trying to keep that a one-run game, give you guys a shot in the 9th, and you can take Ryan Helsley out of the equation if you keep that a save situation for the Cardinals in the bottom half. You're not going to see healthily in tonight's game if Diaz was able to keep that a one-run game. So I don't know. I don't know what you do with him at this point, but he's got to figure something out, and he has to figure it out in a hurry, or he's packing his bags for Louisville.
And it's never really seemed like he's been Tito's favorite either. You go back to spring training and he's not announced as the closer, if I remember correctly. And then he's terrible in spring training. And then all of a sudden he's got this hamstring injury, so he doesn't make the team. When I don't know, I think we all kind of thought he was going to get optioned anyways at the start of the year, just because it was feels really bad in spring training. And yeah, I just don't know. I don't know what they'll do with him. I can't see him pitching against the Nationals though this weekend. I think they do something tomorrow or Friday before that series, whether that's DFA him or option him.
Something there has to give. Before we get into the starting pitching matchup and everything, we did want to talk about the incoming Tyler Stevenson. The Reds are expected to make a decision on him, I believe, later this week. I think after either late tomorrow or Friday was when they were deciding on him. And then we discussed it off air. Do the Reds keep three catchers? Now, there are a couple of possibilities. The straight swap for Tyler Callahan, who made his big league debut in Game 1 today, or the possibility, unfortunately, that Austin Hayes would go back to the injured list with this hamstring issue that he's dealing with. What do you think they're going to do? Do you think there's any super concern with this Hayes injury, if they're being overly cautious, or what do you think?
Well, what I don't want them to do is have Hayes on the roster all weekend and just not play him. We've seen that too many times where they're just playing a man down. I thought it was maybe a Bell thing, and I think it's a Crawl thing because they did it earlier this year with McLean, and then all of a sudden he's on the injured list after 5 days. But yeah, Stevenson, if they keep Hayes on the roster, then I think it's pretty simple. They'll just do Callahan, and then you roll with three catchers. But someone's not going to play much, and people will get anxious about that because they haven't shown the willingness in the past to want to keep Stevenson at first for long. Truthfully, I don't think he's going to play first at all when they bring him back. They're not going to put Trevi at first. Maybe Wins will get a little bit of time there. But I think we're looking at a situation in like a week if all three catchers are on the roster, and one of Wins or Trevino, probably Wins, hasn't played in like a week. And everyone's just kind of looking around like, why are we doing this three catcher thing if all three of them do is catch? Like there's no real position versatility in there. So I do think they'll go with the three catchers thing. I don't think they're going to do it for long.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, especially with the Hayes potential move to the IL, depends on how healthy Spencer Steer is in terms of being able to throw. He's been playing a decent first base in the field. The issue with him is that Spencer Steer, he's like 5'10" or so. That's not your average first baseman that has sort of that catch range for some of these off throws. But I think if he's healthy enough to be able to play left field, that gives you some more options with Wins or Stevenson possibly being able to play first base. But as you mentioned, it's not a cut and dry thing as to whether or not they're going to do that. There's a lot of speculation. But in my mind, if you have a guy in Tyler Stevenson who had a great second half, really after I think it was the month of May last year is when he really turned it on and had a solid end of the year. And Wins has been hitting the ball extremely well. Jose Trevino has just been everything you could ask for from a guy that you thought was going to be your backup catcher that has become your primary catcher due to injury. He's been everything you could ask for and more. So I don't understand. I know it's a bit of a log jam, but at some point you have to ride with the 9 best guys you can put on the field against a certain pitcher at any point. And I think there's a pretty decent argument that carrying 3 catchers will enable Tito and company to put the 9 best guys on the field.
Yeah, I think it all just comes down to I think a lot of it comes down to Steer and if he can play the outfield. Because like you said, they can put, they could put someone at first. If they wanted to try the Stevenson thing at first, in a pinch or try wins there. I think it's a possibility. But yeah, I mean, it's just a credit to Austin Wins and Trevino that they're making this a discussion. Like Wins obviously was like what 8 for 9 at one point in the Miami and Colorado series when he was just on fire and they played him back-to-back days because he was playing so well, so, yeah, I mean, credit to them for making this a tough decision, and I'm sure the Reds' brain trust is, you know, thinking about it, and they know it's a tough decision as well.
Yeah, well, fortunately, it's not all doom and gloom after the loss in Game 1. There is a second game at Great American Ballpark today. The Reds take on the Cardinals. Starting pitching matchup, we have another Major League debut on the docket today. Chase Petty will make his Major League debut for the Cincinnati Reds in Game 2. First pitch at 6:40. Petty was acquired in the Sonny Gray trade, I believe with Minnesota a couple years ago. He made 5 starts this year at AAA Louisville. He's 0-2 with a 3.52 ERA, 27 strikeouts, 9 walks in 23 innings. It's a fastball, slider, changeup, and a cutter pitch mix. And MLB.com states that his fastball, at least as he's moved through the minors, is almost a setup pitch to his secondary stuff, with the slider being kind of his wipeout, strikeout pitch. Max, what are you looking for from Chase Petty in his Major League debut this evening?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching him pitch. Like I mentioned earlier, I do wonder how long the leash is because they did keep, the winning bullpen up and available. We'll get into bullpen availability later. But yeah, I'm excited to watch Chase Petty. He was a top prospect when he came over. It's kind of a bumpy ride through the minors. He had a little bit of elbow stuff a couple years ago, but nothing ever came of that. And was pretty good in Chattanooga, and then got the call last year to Louisville, and he was pretty good as well. So yeah, I think it's exciting. Um, if Chase Petty, if one of Chase Burns, Louder, and Petty comes up and is good, then I think it's a huge boost to the rotation. Because as the year goes on, you need rotation depth, and some starters in our rotation haven't really shown that they can stay healthy all year, and that's why I think they made the Singer trade as well because they needed innings eaters, and if one of those 3 top prospects can come up, and pitch well, I think that's a huge boost for this team.
Yeah, this is the first of the 3 that you mentioned that's making his way to the major leagues. And I think an interesting note, Chase Petty is younger than Chase Burns. I mean, this was a guy who was picked when he was 18, straight out of high school, and he spent all this time in the minors. He initially was a 100-mile-an-hour guy, would just try to blow the fastball by you. And he's really transformed during his time, in the minor leagues into this guy. He still has 95, 96, which it's nothing to shake your head at, but he's got really good off-speed stuff that he can play off of, has a 2-seam fastball as well. Problem is he can kind of lose the shape in between that 4-seam and the 2-seam, and they almost run into each other, it feels like. But very, very excited to watch his debut tonight. And then for the Cardinals, Steven Matz is on the hill for them. 10th year in the big leagues for Matz. Max, what do you have on it?
2-0 this year, a 1.8 ERA in 20 innings. He's been really rock steady in that rotation. He's a sinker, changeup guy mostly, mixes in a slider and curveball as well. Hitter so far this year only hitting 196 against a sinker and under 100 against his breaking ball. And he hasn't allowed a homer yet this year. So I think it's a good chance tonight for the Reds to remind Steven Matz of who he really is, and that's, an average starting pitcher. So it would be nice if the Reds could, wake the bats up tonight. Obviously, this afternoon they couldn't hit, which feels like in day games the Reds just never hit. Well, I guess like a week ago they scored 24 during the day, but you get my point. So we'll see. It'd be nice if the Reds lineup could get to him tonight.
Yeah, and some of the underlying stats on Matt's haven't been as great. He is rocking a 49.2% hard hit rate, which is, for those that don't know, that's an exit velocity above 95 on a batted ball in play. So he's been getting hit hard, but the defense behind him has been kind of helping him out. 44% of his batted balls are either line drives or fly balls. So over half the time, he's getting the ground balls he's looking for out of a sinker changeup guy. I also think he could be kind of an opener for them. He's had 8 appearances this year. One of them was a start. He went 5 innings against Houston and picked up the win there. So, if he gets hit around early, especially with, the Reds have had some success against him. Wins is 1 for 3, Steers 2 for 3. Matt McClain is 1 for 3 with a homer against him. So I think if he gets hit around early, you can really dive into that Cardinal bullpen, still with another game to go in the series tomorrow.
Yeah, if they could get to Matt's early, that'd be big. You kind of wonder how stretched out he is because he hasn't started, all that much. But we'll see. He's a veteran. What do you got on the Reds lineup?
All right, here's the lineup that Mats will face. Close to the same lineup as Game 1, a couple changes. TJ Friedl lead off. Matt McClain in the DH spot, bats second. Elly bats third. Marte up a spot in the lineup against the left-handed pitcher. Just missed, having a couple of home runs in Game 1. Kind of weird outside. The ball just dying in the air over there. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Spencer Steer will bat fifth and play first. Santiago Espinal gets to start at second with McClain DHing. Gavin Lux will go left on left and play left field. Austin Wynns bats eighth, and then Blake Dunn will play in right behind Chase Petty. Really against Mats, I like keeping Friedl left or lead off, because he has that reverse splits where he's better against lefties. McClain's had success against Mats. Marte's been swinging the bat really well. So is Elly, obviously, 13-game hit streak. The only change I think that I would make in this lineup is moving Espinal into the 2 spot and flipping him and McClain. Things haven't been going well for McClain, as we discussed at the top of the show. And it feels like he's almost trying to do too much in that 2-hole. Like, feels sort of a sense of pressure or responsibility to get on base ahead of Elly and Marte and Gavin Lux and guys like that. So with how Espinal has hit left-handed pitching, I think I saw he has like 150 WRC plus against left-handed pitching. I wouldn't see any issue with moving him up into that 2 spot for McClain.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how much longer they go with McClain in the 2-hole. You got to think Tito's getting at least a little impatient with it. I'm sure he believes in McClain, but it's when you have a guy in front of Elly who just is never on base. It's kind of like the Zach Cozart Votto thing all those years ago, and Drew Stubbs and Zach Cozart hit before Joey Votto, which wasn't, looking back, probably not the best way to structure a lineup. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. If they put Espinal in the 2-hole, normally I wouldn't love that, but he crushes left-handed pitching, so I wouldn't mind that. And against right-handed pitching, I wonder if we could see a switch, coming up with switching Lux and McClain, have Lux in front of Elly. Kind of changes things up a little bit because they like having a righty in front of Elly so they don't flip him around as much and make him hit from the right side, even though he looks much better this year from the right side. So we'll see how much longer they keep going with McClain at DH.
Yeah, and I think there's an opportunity if you wanted to move a guy into the 2-hole, especially against left-handed pitching, even without Noelvi Marte swinging the bat. I don't mind putting Austin Hayes in the 2-hole in front of Elly and making them keep that right-handed pitcher in the game to face him. I mean, Hayes has been awesome. We've discussed his possible IL stint that's incoming, but it's a long season. It's only April 30th, so we're officially a month in. I think this is game 31 for the Reds, so long way to go. A long way to go. Go ahead and get into the Cardinals lineup. Max, you want to run down their lineup?
Yeah, Lars Nootbaar leading it off, followed by Mason Wynn in 2-hole at short. Brendan Donovan hitting third, playing second. He has been one of the best hitters so far in baseball. Wilson Contreras this year has made the switch to first. He is hitting fourth. Alec Burleson, Nolan Gorman, and then the last three are Jordan Walker, in right, former top prospect, Pedro Pajes catching, and Victor Scott, who had his second homer of the year against Alexis Diaz. Not a power hitter, but it doesn't really matter sometimes when Diaz is pitching. So, what do you got on the Cardinals lineup?
Yeah, well, I think the guy to watch is, if he's getting hot, is Mason Wynn. I mean, this is a guy that's highly touted, solid defensive shortstop, but he only had one home run, I believe, coming into today, and then he hits two in game one. Obviously, the bandbox that is our beloved Great American Ballpark is part of that, but first homer he hit off Singer was just an absolute bomb. Hit off the facing of the second deck, and then rockets one off Diaz in the ninth. Brendan Donovan, he hit a ball really hard off Brady Singer, I believe, in the third or fourth inning, if I'm not mistaken. It was 102 off the bat with around a 30-degree launch angle, and it just died. I mean, it didn't. I don't even think Friedel was on the track when he made the catch. So it's a weird day at GABP. A lot of these really hard hit balls were not flying earlier in the day. I want to know how it goes tonight, later in the day. Bottom three in the lineup, Jordan Walker, he's had his struggles in the past. Pedro Pajes is your backup catcher. And then Victor Scott had a 3-run homer, but again, not a huge power bat in the lineup. Interesting to see no Arenado in the lineup for them. Wonder if that's just veteran rest with the doubleheader. He's 34 now, so we'll see what the Reds can do.
Yeah, Wilson Contreras always catches my eye just because I don't like him, and he's played for two of the least likable teams in the division, but he's had a good career, and it feels like he's always played well against the Reds, so seems like someone to monitor. But yeah, I'm excited to see Chase Petty navigate through what is a pretty solid lineup.
Yeah, and obviously there's not a lot of expectations for this Cardinals team, but this is still – it's a major league lineup. You're not playing the Rockies or the White Sox of the world where it's – you may have 2-3 guys that are actual major leaguers on the roster, and then some 4A guys, and the rest are AAA or AA talent. So, I mean, there are really good hitters up and down this lineup, especially starting Nootbaar. Had a homer in game one. He's a solid hitter. Wynn, as we mentioned, Donovan, as you mentioned. I mean, there's good hitters in this lineup, and I'm interested to see how Petty does against it. Bullpen usage for the Reds, keeping on the trend of pitching. Barlow, Rogers, and Diaz were the three that pitched in game one. So I would say definitely no Diaz. I think if you get in a pinch and you don't have any more lefties in the bullpen, if this kind of gets out of hand and is a shootout, that maybe you see Taylor Rogers, but I don't see any of those three throwing in tonight's game.
Yeah, I would be shocked. I'd be shocked to see any of them. I would think the most likely would be Barlow, but they have several righties down there available. And then for the Cardinals, no Romero, no Swanson, who closed the game, and Lehigh. Yeah, he's not pitching today.
Yeah, Sadak was saying his name the other day on the broadcast, and I just had no idea how.
Yeah,
that's a pronunciation guide we need for the Cardinals bullpen. I do think it's interesting the Reds have two options for sort of longer relief, Brent Suter and Richardson. I believe Richardson, I thought I saw him today. Maybe I'm going crazy, but I believe he's still on the roster.
Yeah, I forgot he was on the team. I forgot they made a move with Jabot. But yeah, now that makes me a little surprised we didn't see Richardson earlier instead of Diaz, but whatever. I guess if we're gonna get the Diaz thing over with, let's just do it when we're already losing. So
yeah, I agree with that. I think Richardson and Suter are available in the sense that, hey, Petty goes out there and he's really having to fight and he only gets through 3 or 4 innings, that you have these guys that can go for longer stretches if you need. I would say Richardson more so than Suter because he's your only left-handed option out of the pen as of now. But we'll see. I'm very interested to see the plan for Petty as to what's coming behind him, no matter the situation. If it's a tie game and he's out there battling, do you go to a longer relief guy such as Richardson or Suter, or do you roll out, keep playing the hits with Ashcraft, Santillan, and the like?
Yeah. 5 lefties in the lineup for the Cardinals. I think we could see Suter early if Petty does get in a little bit of trouble and they don't want to push him. So I think Suter could be up pretty quickly, but yeah, I think Richardson will be more of like a mop-up guy personally, but we'll see.
Yeah, and Chase Petty, one thing about him is I remember in just the first bullpen of spring training, and he just max effort. And Tito essentially told him, pitchers don't make the roster on the first day of spring training. But, I mean, this guy is a straight competitor. I mean, he's going to go and work for everything, especially in his major league debut. That adrenaline's going to be pumping, and I'm very intrigued to see how he kind of manages the stamina tonight in a spot start debut and everything like that. Weather, it is a beautiful day here in the Queen City. Temperatures in the 70s, not a whole lot of wind. It's really sunny outside, a very different scene than it was last night in the city. Around the National League Central, got a couple of games going on. Another divisional series. Cubs are at the Pirates. That one, I believe, starts at 6:30, and then Milwaukee, then the south side of Chicago, taking on the White Sox. Do you have any predictions for tonight's game, Max?
I do think this is the first time this year that Steven Matz gets hit around a little bit. I don't know how long they'll keep him in, but I think he doesn't get out of the fourth. I think the Reds get to him early, and I think we could get a shootout tonight.
Yeah, I definitely agree with how the ball flew comparatively in the ninth inning than it did early on in the game. Definitely think there's an opportunity for some big flies tonight. I think Marte is going to hit one tonight. I think Marte puts one in the seats. Just missed a couple in game one. I mean, sitting out in right field, I thought the first one he hit was just destroyed. I mean, as soon as he hit it, I thought it was gone, and it makes it to the track and just plummets from there. And I think he's got a big shot to go deep tonight. I am all in on getting Noelvi Marte to the All-Star game. So I'm going to need him to continue hitting the way that he is. Also think Blake Dunn is going to have a nice night against Mats. I think he's a really solid option against left-handed pitching. I don't want to make any super predictions because you never know how they're going to manage that, towards the back end of the game with the Cardinals bullpen and everything. But I think Dunn has a nice night against Mats and any left-handed relievers that come out of the pen.
Yeah, I think the Blake Dunn experience has been pretty solid so far. I think he's done everything that they've asked of him. He's had some big hits. My mind immediately jumps to the Giants series when he had that double down the right field line. I think it was in the Hunter Green start. Maybe it was Lodolo, but either way, he's done well. So happy to see him in the lineup against the lefty.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, and believe that is all the time we have today. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. Obviously, kind of an odd show today, post-game and pre-game with the doubleheader, but it's time to start a new winning streak for the Cincinnati Reds. I'm not going to the game, so therefore they officially have a chance to win. They are 0-5 with me in attendance this year. It's Bark at the Park. Check out Game Time if you need any last-minute ticket deals. And go Reds. Be sure to tune in to the post-game show. They'll be live in the 9th. That is Nick and Trace. And we will see you next time. For Max Alfonso, I'm Hunter Hurst. It's been Chatterbox Reds pregame show.